The November 2021 DBNI standings have been released. Results from all three of diplomacy's major regions were added, including Asia Pacific's PoppyCon, Europe's French Diplomacy Championship, and the North American Diplomacy Championship at Carnage. Put away your Quaaludes and swallow this tube for me, hun, because making it to 28 isn't so easy when you live a diplomacy lifestyle. This is the DBNI Countdown Show.
Welcome to the DBNI Countdown Show. I'm your host, Brian Pravel, co-founder of the Diplomacy Broadcast Network and proud creator of the first ever diplomacy commercial. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, the man with so many typos he even speaks them, Zachary Moore. Zach, first of all, I have to ask you what your fans really want to know. How was your experience at the Carnage tournament?
Listen, Brian, I made enough mistakes at Carnage to put a serious black mark on my tournament record, and I'm just talking about what happened at karaoke on Thursday night, okay? Carnage was an absolute blast from start to finish. Diplomacy players know how to have a great time off the board, and that's what keeps me coming back for more.
Well, of course, you can watch full coverage of the 2021 North American Diplomacy Championship at Carnage here on DBN. We're also going to be releasing some of Ed Sullivan's popular back channel interviews over the next few days, so make sure you subscribe to the channel so you're notified when those are posted. Zach, with the addition of 3 events, we've got a lot to cover today. Karthik Konath was last month's standing leader, but only managed to sneak into the top 7 at Carnage by 3 points. We're going to find out what difference that made soon. But first, let's start by taking a look at the players who earned an automatic invitation to February's Diplomacy Broadcast Network Invitational.
Absolutely. And as you know, anyone who wins a qualifying event that has at least 9 boards and 28 unique players and plays in at least 2 virtual face-to-face games during the 2021 season will receive an automatic invitation. So far, there have been 12 DBNI events in the 2021 season, 6 of which have been large enough to qualify for an automatic invite. Coming on the screen right now, we see the winners of automatic qualifying face-to-face and virtual face-to-face tournament. This month, a newcomer to the list, but an old hand, Adam Silverman, joins the ranks of the DBNI Elite, earning an automatic invitation from his win at Carnage 2021 and removing another spot from those players sitting on the bubble. The French Diplomacy Championship had enough boards, but not enough players for the automatic invitation. So sorry, PoppyCon did not have enough boards or players, and both events, though, qualified for DBNI points, and their scores have been added. They will be reflected in our standings today.
And in the extended deadline category, the Nexus Season 6 tournament is still our only qualifying event. Greg Matthews has the win, but has not yet played in 2 virtual face-to-face games this season. When he does, we'll extend his automatic invitation to the DBNI. The Nexus Press League will be awarded DBNI points and a potential automatic invitation at the end of the year. And in league play, the French Diplomacy League, Tour of Britain, and Virtual Diplomacy League will all be awarded automatic invitations. The Virtual Diplomacy League offers 2, one for the regular season winner and one for the champion.
Brian, let's take a look at those standings. Let's quick dilly-dallying.
Karthik Konath remains the king of the DBNI Hill, expanding his lead over second place Saren Kwok by 11 points. Karthik's biggest score is from his big win at DixieCon. In 2020, December's virtual World Diplomacy Championship was the largest diplomacy event of that season. If that happens again, the value of all scores from DixieCon will be reduced, including Karthik's big score. His position in the DBNI is safe, but will Karthik be able to maintain his first place ranking?
At number 2, how about a top share of 64%, higher than anybody else in the circuit with more than one event under their belt? Saren Kwok looks like she's playing with her food on these boards, and you better believe the Summer Classic champion left room for dessert this February.
Well, with woodworking skills and a mustache that might even make Nick Offerman jealous, Matthew Krill took advantage of his reputation as one of the most likable players in all of diplomacy last weekend. Adding to his second-place finish at Whipping, his second-place finish at Carnage moves him up 4 spots into 3rd place in the DBNI. It appears that at diplomacy tournaments, nice guys don't finish last, they finish second.
Well, Jason Flaskbaum put in a great showing at Carnage 2021, adding 13.2 to his DBNI and blowing a .32 at the pre-tournament welcome ceremony. There's been no championship hangover for the winner of Virtual Whipping as he continues to both chug and tread water at number 4.
Ed Sullivan spent his time at Carnage creating high-energy interviews for his new back-channel segment on DBN instead of topping boards. Still, his strong performance throughout the 2021 season leaves him in 5th place.
This game is about conquering Europe, and Cyril Savant has done exactly that this year, winning Virtual CDF, placing second at the in-person CDF, and notching another second place at the European Diplomacy Championship before that. He's well positioned to put the rest of the world under his heel in February.
Adam Silverman's win of last weekend's North American Diplomacy Championship is the biggest win of his diplomacy career. It earns him an automatic invitation to the DBNI and means DBN may be scrambling to fill another analyst chair in February. Can't make much of a bigger splash than reaching the top 7 in your DBNI standings debut.
We'll flip on over to places 8 through 14, starting with Katie Stray, who has been taking misguided shots from every direction in November as Russ Dennis ordered his goons at the briefing to carry out a sloppy hit piece. And as if that wasn't enough, she found herself clipped by the novice shooting of Ed Sullivan on the first edition of Back Channel. A so-so showing at Carnage did enough to stop the bleeding, and it'll take a lot more than that to kill the web diplomacy standout.
Farron Jane took the month off from tournament diplomacy, but has continued to plug away at league play and currently stands just outside the VDL top 7. A trip to the top board there should all but punch her ticket to the DBNI.
Johnny J. Walkin Gillum looked both ways and then darted into Tanya Gill's centers during the Facebook game at Carnage 2021, picking up Best Russia for himself in the process. He still needs to wade through a lot of traffic if he wants to bring another Grand Prix to Morocco.
In American football, the consensus is that teams that have early season success and choose to rest before the playoffs rarely see success. Carlos Camaridis is giving us a chance to see how this strategy works for the DBNI by not playing in any of the 3 most recent events and drops to 11th.
Coming in at 12th, Russ Dennis worked miracles with his 2 lips at Weasel Moot, recognizing the total depravity of his round 3 board and receiving unconditional election as the tournament champion. But without an auto bid to his name, he'll need to seek a limited atonement with the enemies he made along the way. If he can grab hold of 5 points, I think he'll persevere until the end. But if he can't do it, Brian, I guess he was never really a true DBNI competitor in the first place.
Emmanuel Dupontavis has stayed in the top half of the DBNI standings throughout the season on the strength of their success at the French language hobby events. Keep an eye on Emmanuel as we get into selection season. There aren't many French language games left to play this season, and it's this analyst's opinion Emmanuel's current score will be near the final cut line.
Ben Kellman made his big move at Carnage, launching himself into DBNI contention with a podium finish as he simultaneously finds himself in VDL top board position. Everything is going Ben's way, and if he can just avoid disaster in November and December, he'll be sitting at the table come February.
Let's move on to positions 15 to 21. Is Morgante Pell the Bono of the diplomacy hobby? Stick with me here. Perhaps experiencing a bit of vertigo, Morgante Pell still didn't find what he was looking for at Carnage last weekend. On the edge of locking up a spot in this season's DBNI, he still has one great chance to rattle and hum. There comes a time when we heed a certain call, when the world must come together as one, and that event happens to be the event that Morgante won last year, the Virtual Diplomacy Championship. The question is, will he have a beautiful day and repeat as champion, or will it be a bloody Sunday?
Wes Ketchum started the season off strong with a 4th place at whipping, but has since put most of his eggs into the league play basket. He'll need a decent result from BDL to feel comfortable, and his current position, 16th, is, well, decent. Wes is 1 or 2 solid boards away from punching his ticket.
Showing why anyone outside the top 7 without an automatic invitation shouldn't feel entirely safe. Brieuc Thibault moved up 52 places with his big win at the French Diplomacy Championship.
And Nicolas Sahuget lost out on a podium finish at Carnage due to a unique Carnage tiebreaker where David Miletsky pulls out a particular finger, and whichever player he directs it towards is the one who loses. Firm, but fair. Better luck next time to the former world champion.
Jamal Blakely's play is hotter than the Australian outback at Christmas right now. His win from PoppyCon moves him up 39 places into 19th. Jamal may want to try for some points at the VDC to score their place.
Evan Swihart took the month of October off from diplomacy so he could enjoy his fall, and quite a fall it was, down to 20th in the DBNI rankings and firmly in the danger zone. His 5th place position in TOB will provide a nice supplement to his score if it holds, but he can't afford to drop much further than that with any comfort.
Tim Crosby's 4th place at DixieCon is a decent score, but Tim has not yet managed to repeat the level of success. As we move into selection season, will it be Mele Kalikikana or Silent Night for Crosby?
And we climb now into positions 22 through 28. Folks, here is your monthly Sasha Massacard update. Still falling. Back to you, Brian.
Tommy Teletubby Anderson, famous for his dipsy, frolicking playstyle, said la la to Carnage, and his score got a little more tinky-winky as a result. Will the sun shine on Tommy the rest of this season, or will a Poe result keep him out of this year's DBNI?
Akila and Sabi Ahuja could spell trouble. Trouble. Trouble for the DBNI field if they manage to overcome their own retirement and make a late DBNI push. Sitting within striking distance of a big BDL result, you couldn't write a better late season scripts, even if you wanted to.
Christophe Borgia's 8th place score at the French Diplomacy Championship helped him move up a place in the standings, but it'll take a bigger score than this to stay in the competition.
Liam Stonks is crashing down to earth after a season of wild swings and rampant speculation about the Canadians' freewheeling playstyle. He'll be in person at Cascadia looking to doge catastrophe as he navigates a bubble.
Less than 1 point separates Vincent Roulet from the current cut line. Without a big result at December's VDC, it's unlikely we'll see Vincent play in February.
And finally, Gribakov needs to grab a dot, or else Andre will become the entree for the hungry hippos hot on his tail. He's clinging for dear life at number 28.
And now we'll take a look at the players who just missed the cut, places 29 to 35th. Christian Brown, John Jameson, Hunter Ketcher, Ruben Sanchez, Tanya Gill, Peter McNamara, and Natty Schaefer. First, note the tied score between John Jameson and Hunter Ketcher in places 30 and 31st. John won the head-to-head tiebreaker with 18.7 points at whipping versus Hunter Ketcher's 12.8 points at the same event. Tanya Gill makes her debut in the 2021 DBNI standings, coming in at 33rd place, followed closely by 2021 DBNI champion Peter McNamara, who showed he can also succeed in the extended deadline format with a top 10 finish at the Nexus Season 6.
Well, Brian, that ought to be the most terrifying looking bubble I've ever seen. Let's get it off the screen before I scream and look at places 36 through 42, where there are just 11 points separating the lowest score here from the top 28. Noam Brown, Maxime Popov, Claude de Graaf, Olivier Prigent, JJ Raymond, Candice Roche, and Jaromir Suja. A lot of good players, but a lot of players who have not been playing. These are players who are higher. Look at the arrows. They're almost all moving down. You can't win, Brian, if you don't play.
Well, after all the shakeups, here's where we ended out. Last out, Christian Brown, John Jameson, Ruben Sanchez, Hunter Ketcher, Natty Schaefer. Newest in, we're seeing Jamal Blackerly, Nicolas Sahuguet, Briouk Thibault, Ben Kelman, and Adam Silverman. Zach, this is the second show in a row where the line separating those who currently qualify for the DBNI and those who do not is less than 1 point. At most events, just one more center and one single game could mean the difference between watching and participating in this season's DBNI. This means it's go time for most players. My prediction is that the final cut line will be somewhere around the current point values of our top 14. Anyone close to or below this points level who's serious about qualifying for the DBNI needs to play in the Nexus Press League, the VDC, the VDL, and Cascadia if they're able.
Absolutely, Brian. And let's take a look at some of these top players who would qualify if they met the requirement of 2 virtual face-to-face games. We're not going to throw you into the deep end for your first virtual game at the DBNI. So to qualify, you need at least 2 under your belt. Greg Matthews, Riaz Varani, Renee Van Ruijen, Alex Lebedev, Sergei Saragan, Marjan Orsulich, Philip Bass. A lot of big names in the press online extended deadline circuit on this list, and a lot of very capable players, especially those top 2. You look at them, Riaz and Greg. Fantastic players, but you can't make it into the big dance if you don't bring your shoes.
Winning is hard. Staying there is harder. Let's take a look at our Super 7 from last year. Most of last year's Super 7 did not start out too hot, but several players are starting to make late moves at the end of this season. This is how they're doing. We've got Matthew Krill in 3rd place, Farron Jane in 9th, Russ in 12th, Nicola in 18th, Andre in 28th, holding on for dear life. Peter McNamara is knocking at the door in 3rd or 4th, and Marcus Zylstra is enjoying Survivor. All right, Zach, it is time for Bubble Watch. Last month, I believe we tied with our scores at -1. Let's see if we can get some positive points this month, and how did we do?
Oh, well, we might as well start with last month's predictions on my end. And my first one was Peter McNamara, +1, moving from 57th to 34th. But unfortunately, Robert Shoup took that point away by dropping 8 points. And Jamal Blackerly from 58th, shooting up into the green, into the top 28. He has saved my round. Thank you very much. Is that 3 points, Brian? Did I score 3?
3 points.
I scored 3 points.
All right, let's see how I did. We're starting out right. Ben Kelman also scored me 3 points by going from 33rd into the DBNI top 28 in 17th place. I lose a point from Aslan Sarwar. So it all comes down to this. How did Hal Shield do? Also dropped. So we did better this month. We both got points.
I did better this month.
But yes, Zach, I think this may be your first win in Bubble Watch. Congratulations.
Thank you, Hal.
All right. And now let's take a look at our predictions for this month.
All right, Brian, I'm going to keep it simple. Hunter Catcher, face-to-face is back. He's as good as ever. He's a face-to-face guy. Did he catch the bug at Carnage? I say yes.
Zach, that's a safe pick. I disagree, though. Hunter's a talented player, but he's had more success in face-to-face than virtual. Without any large league scores, it's probably going to come down to how well Hunter performs at Cascadia. That's a lot of pressure for one event.
All right, Brian, how about this one? How about Tanya Gill? who is planning to go to Cascadia and is good enough to win that tournament, even if she carries around a literal target around her back all weekend.
Zach, are you even trying? I mean, if Hunter was a safe pick, this one's even safer. Tanya's one of the most talented players in all of diplomacy. At Carnage, there was an obvious campaign to make her the player everyone feared most. And she still managed to almost crack the top 28 with a single event. She's hungry, she's personable, she's talented, and with only a single score, there's a ton of upside for Tanya. Of course, I agree with this pick.
You're right, Brian. I'm really good at this. And speaking of that, Craig Mayer shook the rust off at Carnage. He's 8th in the VDL, and perhaps most importantly, one of the hobby's most handsome bald guys, according to DBN Quarterly Magazine. His ticker is pointed up, up, up.
Zach, what, you get your first take of victory and suddenly you become afraid to keep pushing? You got to keep the pedal to the floor. Come on. Yeah, you can do better than this. Craig has points coming from VDL. He'll likely play at least Cascadia or the VDC. I agree, but I'm yawning a little bit at your lack of risk taking. So, let's see my superior picks. First up, you went with the safe picks, Zach. How do you beat someone who's playing it safe? You go all in and you take huge risks. For my first pick, I'm going with a pick so risky they aren't even eligible to play right now. I'm picking Greg Matthews. All Greg needs is to play 2 virtual games. He'll receive an automatic invitation. Greg's work schedule makes playing virtual games difficult, but I recognize the heart of a competitor when I see it, and I believe that Greg will find a way.
Brian, I disagree completely. If Greg wanted to play virtual, he'd be playing virtual. He's happy to continue dominating extended deadline away from the bright lights and pressure of DBN.
Well, for my second pick, I'm going with an even riskier pick. I'm picking someone who is also still ineligible and hasn't played that much this season. I'm picking him anyway because he's a West Coast player, and I think he has the talent to crack the top 28 with both the VDC and Cascadia coming up. He has 2 good opportunities to get points.
I like Dave Roberts, but again, I hate the pick. It's awfully late in the season to be shaking off rust, and even though he's a good player, he's just got too much ground to make up. No way, Brian.
Well, for my last pick, I'm making the riskiest one of all. You won't see this name in the DBNI rankings anywhere, not even on the ineligible list, but folks who nerd out on the competitive diplomacy standings like myself know that Eskil Sandblom is currently in 14th place in the VDL and 3rd place in the Tour of Britain. I'm gambling that Eskil will have a strong finish in both leagues and manage to squeak his way into the DBNI on the strength of those results. How does it feel to be the one making conservative picks, Zach?
Feels great to win, Brian, but I actually like this pick. Eskil is a fantastic player, and league scores have a ton of weight in the DBNI rankings. I think he'll find himself in the mix down the stretch.
Raising awareness about the game of diplomacy and growing the hobby are the primary goals of the Diplomacy Broadcast Network. At the end of this season, the first season player with the highest score will receive the Eddie Burson Rookie of the Year award.
And Katie Gray maintains her position as the front runner for the Eddie Burson Rookie of the Year award, but Johnny Gillum is getting increasingly close to overtaking the number 1 spot. We also welcome Brioche and Jamal to the list.
We saw some strong second half rookie performances last season, so we'll continue to watch this award closely each upcoming episode of Countdown. Well, Zach, here in North America, the temperatures are beginning to drop. We had a little bit of snow on the ground the other day. Leaves are changing color. Stores are filled with all things pumpkin spice. The seasons are changing. Holiday decorations are going up. We're rapidly approaching the most wonderful time of the year. That's right, Zach. We're less than 1 month away from the start of DBNI selection season.
Ooh, baby, we are. And the Tour of Britain is ending as we speak, as we record this. The Virtual Diplomacy Championship and the VDL in December will also be 2 huge dominoes to fall and create a massive shakeup in next month's standings.
And of course, it'll all come down to January's VDL Championship and Cascadia tournament, the last North American tournament of the 2021 season. Let's take a quick look at the remaining events in the 2021 season.
Tour of Britain happening now, the final round. Tomorrow, we will find out who this year's king or queen of diplomacy will be and who will receive one of our last automatic invitations.
There are just 2 chances left to play in the Virtual Diplomacy League on November 20th and December 11th. The top 7 players from the regular season will compete to become the VDL champion in January. Both the VDL champion and the regular season champion will receive automatic invitations.
And the first ever extended deadline league will start its final wave on December 6th. When this wave concludes, the individual leading the league standings at the end of this round will be awarded an automatic invitation if they have played at least 2 virtual face-to-face games this season.
And last year's largest event, the Virtual Diplomacy Championship, will offer 5 rounds across internationally friendly time zones. This event has the potential to be the largest event in the virtual face-to-face and face-to-face category for 2021 season. So mark these dates in December on your calendar.
And finally, the Cascadia Open will be your last chance to win a DBNI tournament this year. The face-to-face event is likely to be highly competitive and may ultimately determine who will be watching in February.
That pretty much brings our show towards a close. What are your final thoughts about the season so far, Zach? And what will you be watching for the rest of this season?
We did it, Brian. I'll be happy to share those thoughts, even though you deleted them off of our script. Listen, Brian, it's time for some fireworks. We've been poking and prodding. We've been begging for bigger shifts, covering 1 tournament at a time every month as long as we've been doing this. And now, with the leagues ending, with the press coming, with face-to-face back, we're going to get a tidal wave of results to dissect in December and the January editions of this show. I can't wait to watch how it all resolves.
Well, I would like to thank each of you for watching. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please contact us on Twitter at DiploBN or email us at info@diplobn.com. If you enjoy the show, please like the video, click the subscribe button, tell us your thoughts or make your own predictions in the comments section below. This helps YouTube prioritize these videos, might help someone new discover this game that we enjoy so much. As always, we hope to see you on a diplomacy board soon. Thanks for watching.